evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Fight for Our Freedom Radio. And I'm your host, BADBABY. And tonight we have with us Samuel HOFMAN, and we are going to be going over our current events and Inbound Planet activity. And I also want to mention to you tonight that I apologize, but I am going to be off for a while due to health issues. I have just spoke with Samuel, and I told him if I'm feeling up to doing a show, so you guys are going to have to just check my window and see if I have anything posted. And if I do a show, I'm going to tell you it'll probably be last minute, like that day. If I feel up to it, I'll call somebody. So what I want you to do is come over on Friday and check my window, see if I've got something posted, and if I do, I'll throw one out there every once in a while if I'm feeling up to it. For right now, I can tell you, you can expect me to be off for at least 4 weeks. And on the 4th week, I might try to get a hold of Samuel and bring him out here. He's agreed to a last-minute call. So, and he's one that I can count on for a last-minute call. So what we're going to do is throughout the summer, I will sporadically, if I'm feeling well enough, throw a show out there for you guys. Other than that, for the summer months, I'll probably be off the air with an occasional recording. So sorry, guys, I'm just not feeling that great, and I'm hoping that by the time the fall comes, I will get back out here full time. And on that note, let's bring Samuel out here. Welcome to the show, Samuel. I'm so glad you're feeling better, too.
Yeah, I'm getting there, I mean, dealing with the pollen and everything. We got California air coming up here, so we're getting all their pollen. Thank you, guys. Take this stuff back, I mean,
I hear it's really bad this year,
Well, yeah, they've talked about a really heavy pollen count already this year up here, and we don't usually get a lot of that because we usually get Washington air, and now we're getting the California bloom and everything, and I've been, sneezing and having a grand, and of course when we get older, our allergies kick in worse because I never used to have allergies, but now I'm kind of, there. But sneezing, it's like, hello, spring, give me some tissue, It's outrageous.
Isn't age a wonderful thing?
Oh, yeah. Comes up and smacks you in the head with a stick, whether you want it to or not, I tell you.
You look at yourself and go, I never used to be this way.
Howdy, neighbor. How are you today? Did you look in the mirror? Oh, crap.
Okay. Well, hey, Samuel, let's get right down to business here. I hear we have some solar flares or sunspots coming in. Tell us about those.
That's funny you should start there. Yeah, that's the most interesting thing that's happened well, we've had some, standard solar flares and stuff that have come in the last month or so, and because everybody's screaming about this solar minimum thing and everything, scientists are worried, blah, blah, blah. And yet in the last week, we've had these, there was a couple of side burst flares to the left, depending on A or B or whichever it was. I mean, that's all point of view, stereo A or stereo B. The two cameras they use for most of the solar shots. But anyway, it appears there's some new activity, and it looks to me like another backblow CME event, which is the last time we really saw any of that majorly going on was the 2012 second sun arrival and co-orbit mingle. And that's when the second sun, the larger standard red dot appeared, and it arose up from subhorizontal for most of us, and now there are people down in Antarctica and stuff, and that's why a lot of the projects were sent down there. And those of you who've done your homework would know what I mean by that. In the Antarctica and Australia region to watch this coming from where it was going to arrive. And then we, of course, at Montana Skywatchers, the Facebook site, we viewed the oncoming second sun from Neumeyer Station cameras and all of this in the early 2010, 2011, 2012 period, and then we documented all of this stuff. And we've not seen solar activity like this since the arrival and commingling of the two suns, the larger and the smaller. Ours is the smaller. But anyway, And so now this leads me to believe, because of certain behavior and certain rumor of the length of duration, and people are always asking, when is the planets here for, and when did they leave, and all of this. And of course, we don't have that documented anywhere, that we can actually bring up that material and say, well, X amount of years, on such and such a date. All we have is innuendo and rumor. But it leads me, and I talked to a couple people a few times, and we've seen several little displays of evidence, so I'm kind of inclined to believe there might be some solar separation, as in them going along their pathway and us going along our pathway back onto the next lead of the next cycle, if you follow me. You understand that, or have I gone too far, too fast?
No. We're on the same page here.
Okay. And there was some display also in some of the pictures of the solar pictures that NASA releases. Now remember, all of these are redacted and they're messed with, and they never truly show you everything that's going on, and a lot of stuff is erased, or the parts that really show the meaty sightings are completely removed, and we never get to even see those. So we can remember that segments of time, and these planets and all the other objects, they move. They're not always in one place to be continually photographed or filmed. They're moving and passing. So what we are being released, the information that we're seeing, is that which they want us to see. And of course, and we can bring up the subject that NASA has been doing the asteroid drills lately. Well, they're doing that for a reason. And I don't know how much you've been paying attention to my site lately, but we've been talking about the lead asteroid and the OCG, which stands for Object Cluster Group asteroids, that we've been watching for many, many years get closer and closer and bigger and bigger. And now they're crossing Earth face again in a long stream across the sky. I went out and I drove into Missoula today, and I saw them, in the sky. There they were, And once you learn the pattern of what they look like, they're absolutely impossible to miss. And we have Matthew in Malaysia, and he's at, of course, the center of the tropical region of the center of the planet, and so they get a close-up sighting of it, and it's massive, crossing in front of them, whereas we see it at a different angle, and they're a little more far away.
So describe to us a little bit what that looks like. What are we looking for?
Well, you're looking for in some cases, you're looking for a sky-filling object with some stripes, and it's got this big long tail behind it going all the way across the sky. In some cases, in some people, and there's been nothing but nonstop sightings for weeks now, again, because it's so visibly round, and it's literally the size of a major moon, way, way bigger than our moon even. This thing, if you were to hold a basketball in front of you at the full arm's length, this thing is that big in the sky, and it leaves this huge trail behind it. And it's dark in some cases. It's illuminated depending on the time or the location, because the angles vary. It's, depending on if you're in Sweden and you're observing it, it'll be a different angle than if you were in England, or in Virginia, or in China or Hawaii or whatever. And the angles are different, but the reports are coming in nonstop of the OCG lead object is what we refer to it, because it's the biggest one of them all. And I got some pictures in this morning that just it's jaw-dropping, and they've matched the cyclic pictures from 2015, 16, 17, and these things time after time after time match. Same visual facial clouding, same stripes, same patterns, and now over time, the object cluster group has changed orientation. The lead object has no longer the lead object, and the green one is taken forward, and then there's a red one, and there's a blue one, and then the lead has dropped away from the other group of asteroids over time. And now these asteroids orbit underneath the passing planets. So when the passing planets go past us at very close proximity, those things are in between us and the planets, and they're even closer than they normally would be. And this is partially what we can attribute to some of the crazy weather that's going on, and lightning storms and rainstorms and everything in what we call a close pass event. And there is a bunch of those happening. Now, it's not always. Sometimes it can be a 5-minute event as we sneak past each other in our orbit, which is separate from their orbit. And everybody's been seeing these magnetosphere pictures recently on our magnetosphere being all weird and wackadoo. And it doesn't correlate with the solar flare emissions at the same time, and they're kind of wondering why. Like, we didn't have a solar flare, but yet our magnetosphere is going wackadoo crazy and pulsing in and out and in and out, and then there's these anomalies in the back wave and the back eddy, and that's because at times Attu and Attu's moon and these asteroids are actually passing Earth and getting in our back magnetosphere eddy, if you follow me, in our behind stellar wind wake, and affecting our overall magnetosphere, which is the magnetic electrical field around the planet, because we're sharing space with other electrical bodies, and we're sort of nudging into each other and past each other electrically.
So do you think this electrical phenomenon that we're experiencing on our planet is causing the computers to go wackadoodle? Because I'm hearing everybody's having a lot of computer problems.
Right, and the Schumann resonance has been brightly, just completely unheard of. And if you look in a lot of the photographs and pictures and videos, and you're seeing these really weird, intense blue and yellow and green and orange and yellow and white lights, even as you're looking down the highway when you're driving your car. You keep getting these flashes like, God, is there a cop or an ambulance coming down the road? And then you don't see it again. There's this over-intensity of ionization. The pathways of light are stretched because when these planets pass by, it creates a hyperspeed for these transfer of energy. So the rules and the laws of our standard earthly physics are being stretched and changed. Because of these passing bodies, because everything's pulling at each other, and that's also what's going on in the human brain, and why these people are flipping out over a car space. This guy shoots somebody else because so and so took my traffic parking space, and I was on my way into the parking lot before he was, so I killed him. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff going on.
Right, and these people are losing it because there is an electrical event going on in those people who are not electrically perfect, bipolar and that sort of thing. They've got misfiring going on between the synaptic response and the neurons of the brain. And this would either, actually, I think, frankly, in some cases, it would probably accentuate those neuron reactions, and actually help people, some crazy people in some ways, and other people it may drive them, or multitasking at the same time, both good and bad, who knows. I mean, it's, of course,
yeah, I'm
debatable.
over on your on Montana Skywatcher page, and I just came across a picture of the sky that you just described, all the different colors, and I'm posting those links down in the chat so they can click on them and get an idea, because I don't know how to use my share screen.
Well, I just saw one, so I clicked on it. Now, there's also the rainbow effect that's going on underneath planet Nepacity, which is in a close pass, and Attu's in a close pass, and that's the purple skies. And Saturn is on its way in really close, because we've been rounding the whole batch of Uri and Attu and Attu's moon, which has gone over the top of us here recently, and the biggest, coolest sightings we've ever seen. And it's been self-illuminating in the daytime and at night. And we've got, of course, hundreds of pictures experiencing for the last 3 or 4 months. Are you talking about this once-in-a-lifetime purple sunset? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, here, I've got one here. Let me
that
let me
is planet
put this
Nepacity going over the top of the sun, being illuminated by a co-nearby planet. You can actually see the core base cloud in illumination in an illuminated central above the setting sun, which is actually sub-horizontal at the ocean. And you're seeing the base of a very, very large passing planet. I mean, these things
checked the one that I just put up.
Yeah.
This is from over Lake Huron, about 20 miles from my house.
The one on the water?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking at now. Now, the purple, dark purpley area in the left-hand side of this whole mass is one of the planets as well. They are that close and that big. They're so big, they're sky-filling. And people, they go, oh, okay, it's a beautiful sky, but they don't realize that these things are so close proximity above us And they worked their way up over the last 7, 8, 9 years from below us, below our. Now I'm saying United States horizontal view. Down in Antarctica, they came up, and you could see them passing in this really interesting ovular close pass, far pass, close pass, far pass scenario. And it's really hard to describe the inward bound, but we saw them in a minor spiral, and then a bigger spiral, and then a bigger spiral, and then a bigger spiral. And then once they got to a semi-close within that fifth year or so, they started going right to left to right to left, and they're, of course, in the middle of their dance again. And this matches the 215 cycle and the 216 cycle and the 217 cycle in pictures and drawings, which we keep records of, except that they're now way closer and way bigger, and they're going past us, and eventually we'll be able to see them in the night sky and whatever, except the space is absolutely black dark. And unless you have a direct illumination of the sun, you won't see a face. You'll only see a crescent flare or a crescent illumination or a half flare or a half illumination, depending on the angle of the light. And because light always travels in a straight line, period, unless refracted, and then it'll have another new straight line of angle, a refraction angle. But anyway,
Now check out the next one I just put up there with the pyramids.
Okay, pyramid. It's this one that says questioning Photoshop. Okay, yeah, okay. Well, it was there, and then now I got a big version of it. You are looking at the bottom ion drag-off cloud of Attu's moon with Attu behind it. That light purpley sky that's on the left upper sky is Attu itself, in a purpley blue facial illuminated, because it's above and in the sky, whereas we're looking at the sun, which is, of course, in between the two pyramids, underneath these larger passing planets. And there is, of course, we have hundreds of Attu's moon and Attu in close pass. Literally, it goes from the right-hand side of the sun to the left during the day, and then cycles past, and there's numerous videos of that coming from Europe and Scotland and Germany and England. England's great, and we get a lot from Andy Pohl, and we get a lot from Matthew and Kat and all and some nice ones from Scotland, and we're getting a bunch of really good photos coming in nonstop from some real good members, and they're doing a great job. And this is what makes all this work. That is the time spent that we have identified what these clouds appear over and over around these larger passing planets. And then once you learn that, and then you'll learn to see the rounds and the dark shapes inside the clouds. And it's absolutely definitive time after time. And we've been watching it for, coming up on 10 years now. And everybody's got to get on board with this. I mean, it's amazing the levels of gossip and misinformation that still exists even after we've been giving this information out for free to everyone for 10 years. And yet no one wants to bite on it. I saw a longtime friend the other day grab a hold of a whole bunch of some other information I hadn't even heard of, and they're falling into it. And, it sounded interesting, but I knew it wasn't what we had proven collected, and I'm just saying, I was wondering why they didn't even bother to share it with me, but it's like, okay, wow, you're really off, I feel sad for all these people who are misinformed and falling into the internet gossip. It's kind of spooky. And,
okay, I just put another one up. Tell me what we're looking at here.
Okay, let me get rid of this one. Should have saved that picture. And, of course, I'm still kicking in the last throes of this stupid code. This says this content is not available.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, then I got one more here, and I know you're just going to love this one. I got some good stuff tonight.
Oh, cool. Oh, well, this is what I look at all the time.
All right, let's see if this one will come out for you.
I clicked on it.
That's a big link.
Saw that. Weather Meteo World. Meteo. Oh, come on. It says Mantis clouds. You're that one, yes. I know this picture. This is illuminated Attu's moon in front of Attu, and yes, it is that big. And if you
What a
look at it,
picture, eh?
yeah, I've got copies of this going back 4 or 5 years, ever since Attu's moon and Attu got close enough for us to even know that Attu had a moon, because the longest time we did not know. And then, of course, a lot of people ask where all these names came from. We got a Pleiadian video from 2009, which I saw online, and it was one of the only videos on Nibiru, period, and it had to do with Nibiru Pleiadian message, and this was way back in 2009. And I sat and watched it, and it actually matched information I had gotten directly from who. And people need to look up my background if they want that other information. But it matched, and then we went through a whole bunch of time for like first 4 years, not even correctly identifying these planets as this is this. We were taking the information and doing comparatives to, and we went, okay, this blue planet and that blue-green planet and then this other planet, until it all fell into place once Attu got here. And once Attu got here and it was purple and it matched the information, and we all sat there with our jaw in our laps for about 3 days and went, wow. Because we have, absolute phenomenal pictures of it coming in. And they're not always encased in clouds, and we have some direct, and I'm sure I've shown you a few of them. We've got, 100,000 pictures going back years in file after file after file of documented evidence that this is actually happening, including close paths from distant to, and then middle-sized ones, and then bigger and bigger. And if people don't get on board with this information, it's very, it's silly of them, because it's all collected under, the rules of science, comparative science, and we're not calling stuff unless we have a lot of evidence to prove that, yes, this is what's happening. And this is why we have the citizen science, and members who don't get paid or anything, and there's no commercial advertisement, and we don't charge membership fees and all of this, or try to sell T-shirts or coffee cups, even though I'd like to. I try to avoid the money issues because I don't want people to, to mar their issues with money.
Yeah.
And
Dylan is asking us a question. He wants to. He said he would like to find that link. What link are you talking about, Dylan? Because I don't understand what you're asking for. You can click on these links, and it'll open up for you. That's what Samuel's doing. So I don't understand what you're saying. But I put another one in there, Sam. Go ahead and click on the next one.
Okay, this one is different than that one. Oh, that one. That's believe it or not, that's one of my pictures.
Yeah.
Of course, I chuckle. April 29th. Yeah, this is one of mine. And this is the bottom of planet Nepenthe, and the object cluster group is in the middle lower right-hand side is the lead object, and you can see the stripes in the little wake area of its ion cloud, and then its ion trail and path of how that whole planetary system has moved in. And you can see the ion cloud going way off into the wake in horizontal distance. And that is the move-in of this planetary body and the asteroids that orbit directly underneath them. Now, if you look to the top of the area, it's really dark where the wispy clouds reach off. That's the bottom ionization off the bottom of the southern pole of the planet. And that leaves an electrical trail through the whole group, and they have little ion trails between all the other planets too, and they all reach to each other electrically. And these gases collect out there, which is what creates the space water and all of this, because space is not a void, it's a gas. And these guys leave a trail. It's like if you put a big ball of ice cream in the middle of a river, you're going to be able to watch the trail where that ice cream has been for a minute or two. It'll leave a path of the decaying ice cream. And this is kind of what it's doing, because out in space it's really, really cold. And these warm-bodied planets come through and they leave a little discharge behind them, like an ice cube gas coming through. And now space is dark, and we're looking at the back sides of these planets. But these gases below them that are electrically charged and containing some particulates and ice crystals and all this other stuff, and debris and dust and whatever, they illuminate because they refract the space light, and they show you the presence of the illuminating body above it. an ion trail. And the illuminated object cluster group is going through it because that's the electrical positive charge to the negative charge of that pole of that body. The planet was probably got a positive charge on the North Pole and a negative body on the South Pole. And this electrical body of object cluster group, which is electrically illuminating itself on a regular basis and discharging on all the bodies it passes by, does this electrical discharge ion illumination. And it's visible. And this is part of what the trail is because there is a transfer of energy and a debris and an ionization of sorts. And we've been watching this. And, of course, I need to bring up that this picture is literally from about 2015. And, of course, I reposted it about a month ago, and it's coming back around for the third time since. And, of course, everybody misdates it.
Okay, I'm putting another one up.
Everybody misdates it and calls it current because that's what it says on the top of their sheet when they post it. So, you got to remember.
Dylan says, are there any planets you've been seeing less, or are they all passing us?
Well, we have not seen a lot of Saru lately because she's behind Uri and has been for 3 years. And we see glimpses of her bottom on occasion. She's got a big, huge illuminated core, but it's such a sky pillar on occasion that it's hard to actually tell you're looking at a core instead of just a horizontal anomaly. And there's been brief changes where the planets go up and down and they move from left to right, and so they're doing this dance in front of us. And recently, within the last 2 months or so, we rounded again, so they're behaving in a different onset followed by path, passive path, where they're moving at a different angle, which is, of course, why we have the really strange weather that's being drawn up from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to the East Coast. Whereas last year, that same weather pattern was being dragged across from California all the way up through Canada. And the year before that, it was doing it in Alaska. And so here you can see a changing transitionary cyclic behavior by the planetary passings and electrical effects. And if you check into people talking about where the pole is and Earth wobble and all of this is all directly connected to these electrical discharging bodies that are manipulating each other and trying to occupy the same space and yet get by without crashing into each other, because they don't. Except for all of this asteroid crap that's going on unbelievably, and I'm amazed we haven't been, majorly pasted by the size of this stuff. I watched it go by all week, and then today we could talk about what's going along with those. Have you seen any of the Texas Cube pictures for this week?
No, but I do have a Texas picture I'm going to put up for you here. I just put another one up. I'm pretty sure it was Brazil.
I don't want to create a mass panic for the door or people's bomb shelters or anything, but we've had, for over 2 weeks, we've had nothing but literally every day sightings of the Texas Cube right next to the lead asteroid, in between that and Attu's moon. And they've been putting off this really weird new set of cloud patterns, and it's phenomenal.
Okay, now check this one out, Matt. This one is from Texas, Crowell, Texas.
I hope this is a new one sitting in front of me. If I'm at the bottom, I hope this is it. Okay. I'm just looking at that last one. This one has not come through yet, apparently. Slow here. Let me scroll up and scroll down because I just got that cloud one. Okay, let's see what this one is. Okay, it does say Crowell, Texas. Yeah, they've been having, okay, that's the same thing. That's the bubble cloud, right?
Yeah, bubble cloud.
Well, it's momentous clouds, but these are giant momentous clouds. Now, Attu, which is the dark purple blue behind, and Attu's moon is the white, yellow, orange, purple area. That's illuminated by the angle of the sun. If you look, it's coming from the right. And this is what I've been talking about, where Attu's moon and Attu have actually passed Earth and are illuminating from a different angle than we used to just see only their dark sides. and some of their base clouds and side illuminations on an occasional crescent illumination. But now that they're passing the Earth, and we've been talking about this for, God, about 5 months now that the process was happening, and we knew it was coming from crop circles and other things that were, leading the pathway and the cycles of the last few years in a row from some of the prior behavior. We knew this event was coming. And so we've been discussing it, and here it is, basically more proof that we're exactly right. These momentous clouds come from the fact that Attu is a gas giant. It's a blue-purple striped gas giant, and Attu's moon, and they're up there. We've got numerous pictures of Attu's moon surface, and it's multi-pocked. So it's definitely a moon. And it's got, numerous asteroids, so therefore it has no atmosphere, whereas Attu's moon, or Attu rather, is nothing but mini gas giant. I don't know, compared to what Uranus or Saturn or Jupiter, how big it would be versus. But we know that Attu is much smaller than Uri, which is attached to Attu and Attu's moon. Pretty much generally over the last 9 years, we've seen them always together. And the subsequent other smaller planets sort of do a dance near Attu and Attu's moon in a collective following spiral. It's really hard to describe because it doesn't act like it really should, but that's what they've been doing. So, I'm just, of course, sharing this information with you because I don't fully understand how it works because they're all way packed too close together for my taste, and I don't understand it, but this is what's happening. And we've had so much proof over the last 10 years, and this July, that's why I've been saying a decade, this July, it will be 10 years now that we've been watching this behavior and documenting it, and, and it's no longer something that we can even argue about because it's reoccurred so many times. And if people don't get on board with this information, they're just being silly. And, they can go to YouTube and just type my name, Hoffman. It's Hofman. There's 2 spellings of it. You could, but usually you're going to find Samuel Hoffman no matter what. And I'm not some of these younger other people, and I'm not the guy that plays the piano. I'm the crazy Nibiru guy, and I wrote a paper. Go ahead.
Take a look at what we got over here in Indonesia, and tell us what we're looking at here.
Indonesians. Oh, you mean the earthquake scenario or the storm that's going on?
No, I got a posting here. Go ahead and click on it.
All righty. Indonesia is just rocking and rolling because they've had a lot of volcanic. Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is India.
Oh, okay. Well, that's their cyclone, and that could be directly a base core of Nepacity passing the planet, and that light blue area could be green Nepacity above, because at sea level you can't see crap because of all the volcanic ash and chemis and all this other shit, and that matches the base core of Nepacity when it does a close pass. It brings down the core, and then a snorkel follows, and it sucks up a bunch of moisture and a whole bunch of stuff, and then right before it leaves in the full end of the pass, it dumps all the water it's collected down out, or most of it. We can't say all of it. I don't know what it does with it all, but and then there's a Skywatch Media post for the money people. Oh, and those guys are so sadly wrong. I hate to say this, but you guys out there, I have to say, you have to be careful where you get your information from. If it's hype and oh my God, no, and we should look at this, and these people are saying now send me $6.95 for a monthly subscription, or we just got this picture today, and they're going off, and it's the apocalypse, or the sky is ripping open, or the suns are dying. No, don't buy into that stuff. These people are losing their mind. And like I'm saying, I'm seeing Sky, and I hate to see this. They're throwing huge amounts of money, Skywatch Media and Marshall Masters and all the, and I hate to down anyone publicly, but I've been trying to reach these people, and I know all of these guys. I've been around since before any of these guys even started. All
right, Samuel, check the next one out.
Okay, half of them started on Montana Skywatcher, and then went out and got a 5-minute education, and then they thought they knew everything, and off they went, including, Scott, Steve, Jeff, and all of those guys. And I just, sort of pinned their names because it's so spooky how they're misleading so many people. And I'll run through some other sites, and I just want to pull my own head off looking at all the crap that these people keep clinging to. And there is no such thing as a...
Now, this is a video, the next one that I put up.
Okay, I'm still not seeing it.
This is what's going on in India.
Okay,
cyclone that's hitting.
Okay, the last post I see TR says that one shows up a lot, and then I see yours. It's Apocalypse Mundi A videos. Is that it?
Yes.
It's back to the same thing. It's back to the same thing, which is that big cell.
Oh, okay.
That's all
I
got.
And I didn't get it. Let me try to recopy it.
Because it's the same thing as the last one you sent.
All right. It did not.
Oh no.
The URL didn't.
We're going to see Saturn show up, and her yellow moon is facially leaving this ion cross-facial drag-off tail across the full huge face of Saturn, which is now on the right-hand side of the sun and been cutting into the sun, and that's why we've got all this weird cut-off oval sun flaring thing going on, and a bunch of asteroids crossing in front of the sun at the same time, which is why people are freaking out and calling it Nibiru. I'm chuckling at them, and I'm going, Nibiru is about 1 million times bigger.
It came up now, Samuel. Go ahead, try it.
Okay, in between of a sip of water here. Because you know how fast I like to talk.
It's hard for, and I'm trying not to interrupt you, but I'm also trying to get these videos copied and get them out here so everyone can see what's going on.
I'm a known over-talker, so anytime you want to interrupt me, you go right ahead. I mean, you should see what they do on other radio sites. They have to argue with me to get me to shut up and when they're trying to go to commercial.
One thing I do want to mention is we were talking about people, their brain not functioning properly. I'm wondering if this has anything to do with these people being so ignorant as to go underneath the barriers and fall into the Grand Canyon, and then now this guy falls into a volcano over there in Hawaii. Come on. What do you think safety barriers are for?
Yeah, I think
want to get a better look?
I think that's a complete disconnect from reality for that one brief moment, like, oh shit, did I just screw up? Yeah, we're looking at a weather event. This is these cyclones, and regardless of whether or not this is a close pass or not, we are seeing direct results of wind scenarios. And what people don't realize is the wind behaves differently at different levels. At 10 feet, it acts one way. At 50 feet, it acts another way. At 80 feet, it acts another way. At 150 feet, at 800 feet, at 1,000 feet, wind behaves completely differently. And you need to check different levels of wind according to storms. Now, these storms are very, very violent, and they're running literally on land hurricane strength. And they're fast and brief, and so they're the weather companies and the people, they're talking, well, this happened and it had 60-mile-an-hour gusts, but they didn't tell you that there was also a momentary sustained wind of 125, which ripped this entire house and flattened it and tore all the trees out of the yard down to the ground, because only a Category 5 will do that, whereas a Category 3 or 2 will rip the tree up at the top of the tree, not down at the ground base. That means it's a hell of a something that just reached out and grabbed it. So we're seeing larger storms, and this is direct relations to climate change. And I'm not going to say global warming, because it's not global warming. It is solar system warming. And everybody can say, well, we have to blame the carbon emissions. Well, Earth regulates itself really darn well, and man doesn't do that bad of a job. Look what it's putting out for all the ash and everything from all the volcanoes that are going off everywhere, and will continue to get worse. I mean, we are having a balancing from the planet, but that has to do with the passing planets. And we're heating up. All the planets are heating up because we have an extra sun here, and people don't get that part. And why are they? Because, there's this big, huge, massive body that's in our area that's putting out a whole bunch of stellar material. But, the NASA footage we're seeing is all being redacted, and they block out that extra massive body behind it. And then they wonder why we have a solar minimum. Well, because the massive body behind it is pulling all of the major output off the backside of the sun, and we don't get to see those pictures. we see stereo A, which is right or left of the sun, and then they correct it and they put a bunch of scratches in it and say, oh, look, stars. And then you don't look at the dark areas around these CMEs. When you see the CMEs that they're releasing in footage, don't pay attention to the light areas. Pay attention to the dark areas that they're hiding. And believe me, it's not necessarily a white dot. It's not necessarily a star. It could be a ship. Like we're talking about the Texas Cube again. Even we got pictures of the Texas Cube way out in deep space before they killed Google Space, and then we sat for years wondering why. And then we kept those pictures, and lo and behold, here in like 2014, 2015, somewhere around there, I can't remember the exact date. I have to look it up again. The Texas Cube pops into the atmosphere. Excuse me, dry throat. It pops into the atmosphere, and then we start sightseeing it like we are now this week.
Okay, now click on my next one.
Okay,
it's just above Truth's comment.
Okay, and something I need to talk about that. The Texas Cube. There are beings on this dang thing, and they are not from Earth. And people have to really say, oh, I'm wondering when we're going to have first contact. Well, these guys are standing here floating above us every day, and you need to realize that. Dry throat again. Another sip. That
take a sip of water. Don't. We got all night. Don't push yourself.
Okay, on to the cough drops. Okay, we're looking at Iowa. Yeah, the Mississippi River is at 24 feet. It's the highest flood stage in history as of today. Never ever been this high. And if you look at the maps of Gordon Michael Scallion, and how the whole Mississippi Valley region is all underwater, and the future map and the Navy future map and all these other things, and if you pay attention to Edgar Casey and you pay attention to the Hopi prophecies and you cross-reference all of this stuff, hello guys, it's happening right in front of our very eyes. I mean, everything's at flood stage right now, and these passing planets are dragging a year's worth of water and dropping it on us, and it's not going to change. And this year we're going to fry. Oh my God, it's going to be hot. Oh God, is it going to be hot? Because if this second sun is leaving, which direction is it going to take? Where's Hercubus going to go, which is behind those two, holding the two together in the two solar systems, which is this massive, massive, massive gas giant. People have to understand it's a dark gas giant. It's not a dark star or anything like that, because gas giants are gas clusters of electron that pull in the gases, and they've got all this mass, and it creates this dense, packed gas giant, and only when they light on fire do they become a star. So you could say it's a star to be yet born, but it's this mass body that holds the two stars and the two solar systems together, and you have to kind of learn about this stuff and get into the into the chemistry behind it, because it's subatomic chemistry, astroatomic chemistry. It's not some ungodly weird gravitational Einstein physics crap, because it's not a gravitational universe. We live in an electrical universe, and it's a compound in space, making up of all these chemicals, and to make this atomic structure, which is stable and not going to destroy itself, but it's going to have a lot of fun in the process of this cleansing cycle. It's like
okay. You have a question in the chat. You want to address that while I go get another video?
Okay. Bring us some iced tea while you're at it. That's a joke. Still don't see it. Let's see. Where is it? From you? Last one.
No, it's from. I think it's from Dylan. Okay, so if her hibiscus is lit up, would we see it?
We see it as a blob in a lot of photos. If you look. It's a reddish blob, and it's literally like 10 times the size of even the larger sun. So it's this reddish hue in the background when you see 2 and 3 rings on a sun, because our sun is a bright yellow one in front of the huge standard red, which is the star that goes to the Immeru system, and Hercubus / Immeru / Nibiru system. And then Nibiru and all of those guys are attached to that solar system. And ours is also attached to it, but we're a apart from each other for 3,654 to 57 years, and then we come back together, and then we separate after. And I never did mention it's supposedly 7 years in, 7 years out. But that could, be a biblical
picture that I
reference
just
as well.
put, this video I just put up is
okay,
yesterday in Ethiopia.
Now I see it's in front of me, so let's have a pop-up. Sorry I can't provide pictures, but I'm still not able to link in as a member, even though I am a member. That is a low, that's a really deep source volcano when it comes to that. Then the viscosity is like a very large supervolcano type viscosity ratio. In order for it to be pouring out in that pattern, there's 3 different types of lava. There's Hawaiian lava, and then there's others viscosities, 1, 2, or 3, third stage. And the third stage comes out in a low, slow yet hot, and it keeps scrolling away from me here. We know that whole area is just a powder keg, and we know that Krakatoa is there, and we know that the whole area region is moving, and then we know that the Ring of Fire is just going ape, and there was another 6-1 there today again. And so, if they're living, and they're, of course, they're used to living with volcanoes, and it's not that tough as long as you can breathe, and sweep up every day and get rid of the ash. And if you have a lot of ash, then you have to move. Period. There's no other way, and go to the next island or whatever. But as far as a big super volcano going off, I don't think we have to currently worry at this point in time. Although they have in the past cycles. There was a major event, I think, 2 to 3 cycles ago, where literally the Pacific Northwest erupted in a supervolcano about 13,000 years ago. But other than that, I don't think we have to worry. And this is, where those people talk about Yellowstone going off and doing all this, and they're all worried. Yellowstone is highly vented. It's not going to go bang. The ones that are going to be the eruptive ones are the ones that have yet to explode, and they're that classic built-up, pyramid-shaped, non-exploded volcano. Those are the ones to worry about. And, of course, we know that there's like 11 of them in Washington State all the way down to California and headed toward Mexico and the Baja. And that region is expected to start kicking up. And that was even talked about by Suspicious Observer and a few other people anyway, and the other quake people. And I sadly don't remember.
Click on the one I just put up and explain what we're seeing here with the earthquake activity.
Depends on where it is. Oh, magnitude 9 off in. Oh, it wasn't 1. They're talking about the new.
Now,
earthquake.
as the globe turns.
Yeah, and that's the years going by, and they're showing you all the older quakes going up in the 1920s, 1923, 1924, and there were some real biggies. Well, the Ring of Fire is, it's a stretching plate, and anywhere a subducting plate occurs on another landmass plate, where the subduction, like Japan. The Pacific plate is going underneath Japan, and our Pacific plate is going underneath Juan de Fuca, and Juan de Fuca is bumping into the Northwest plate, which is bumping into the Grand Craton, which is the United States major plate. So when you have these subductions anywhere within 100 to 150 to 200 miles on the above ground region of the subduction area, those gases and stuff from the water and the moisture of being under the ocean, usually going underground, underneath, takes a lot of water with it. And these waters get separated, get superheated, and it starts building up pressure underneath the ground, which is what will literally raise an entire mountain range over time, is these pressures of gases. Because if they're not released immediately over time, these pressures build up and raise entire mountain ranges. Mass amounts of pressure.
Interesting that you said that, because look at what I just posted. And then I'm going to go back because I want to show you a mountain range that's coming down
Oh, yeah, and they'll
check
sink
out the
too.
one
Once a caldera empties, or the allocation of the fluids within the caldera at certain regions will change one place or another through some draining or change in pressure, then you'll have a land area that will actually subduct as well. And
Okay, look at the one that I just posted. This was a volcano that went off, and then I'm putting one up right now, and it is what you just described.
Yeah,
With
that
the
one
earth
that
moving.
was in the Malaysia area. Last year sometime. I remember telling these kids, you guys should be running that pyroclastic flow. You shouldn't
All right,
be
now look
there.
at this one, the last one I put up.
Okay, it takes a second in between. Well, this cough drop is sort of helping. Oh yeah, nice mud flow. Yeah, that's going on all over the world. They're actually finally talking that Madagascar is moving, and look at those two major typhoons that just went over the Madagascar region. And here we know that the tectonic plates are moving, and these cyclones are coming in. So there's direct relationship to earthquakes and storms and all of this stuff that is happening. Nothing is truly separate. They're all connected in a certain manner. Although we do not.
Samuel, it seems like no one's paying attention
Oh,
that this is
no kidding.
intensifying.
Yeah, and it is.
Even on the news, they're not. They're like, oh, there's a
Yeah.
storm over here. But they're not warning anybody that this is happening, and that it's going to get worse.
I'll be at the stores and I'll say, have you seen the world weather recently? And they go, no. I said, do you know what's happening in India today? And they go, no. And you don't know that there's 3 million people have been evacuated off the coast of the shores of eastern India? No. Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here every day going, thank you, Lord, for letting me still have my own roof on my house. Because I'm watching.
Speaking of own roofs, here's another one I put up. This is a massive landslide, and when you can get it pulled up, and it's just a perfect idea. Look down in this gully, and all you can see are houses and buildings that are gone.
Well, last year there were so many videos. Yeah, this is exactly what's going on. Last year there were so many videos of coastal regions just dumping into the ocean, and they're still happening, and land is moving right in front of our very eyes. And everybody goes, oh, that's just one earthquake. No, this is happening everywhere. And you talk about the the tidal flow going out to the ocean, and everybody wondering why. Well, this is major earth wobble and earth shifting, and these tectonic plates are floating and they're moving. Because underneath they're all warmed up, and all of the lava underneath has got them all floaty, like a sled on snow, and all this stuff underneath us is moving, and everybody's going, well, I'm still living in California, and I go, oh wow, you still live in California? Okay, are you sure you want to be there? If you still live by the coast, wow, you're either you don't care, you can't move because you're financially stuck there no matter what, or you're not even informed at all. And I talk to people all the time, and they don't have a clue. If I didn't do this, or maybe I wouldn't know. And it's scary, and I try not to dump it on them all at once, because I have a mountain of information that it would take me the next month to tell you. If we talked every minute of the day for the next month, I could just keep talking.
Exactly. And the thing is, some people are awake. For instance, I was in the party store over here, and this girl running the cash register was awake, and we were talking about some of these things. And then this guy comes in who's military, and he starts rolling his eyes at us, and she put her finger over her mouth like, shh. And then she said, oh, I don't talk about this when he's in here. He thinks we're a bunch of kooks. And and I thought, what? When all hell breaks loose around here, he can grab his ankles and kiss his goodbye, and then he'll think about thinking that I'm a kook.
People who are indoctrinated really truly believe in what they believe in. And when you sort of, there's a nice little whistle there, sorry. When you sort of take that. Now, that happened to me when I dealt with the government scientists, and I told them my rendition of physics. And it treaded on everything they believed in and on every paper they ever wrote and every calculation they ever made. And I was ripping it out from underneath them, and they got so mad at me you wouldn't believe. I mean, these people almost had a coronary in front of me because I was messing with their science. Now, when you mess with people, they'll defend, and the people who are defending the country and all this, and you try to take some of that away from them by letting them know that what they've been told is not the truth, they freak out. So it's in some cases it's best to let them learn. And I've learned a long time ago not to try and prove this to people. I will give them information, and what they do with it is
Oh, I don't
them.
try to prove either, Samuel. But you know, what she told me was that he got into it with her one day and said, you know what, if this was really happening, the military would be telling us. And I just had to laugh.
Now, most of them, see, the way it works is that people that are in the military, they don't know why they're doing what they do. When you're in there, you turn in your report, and there's nobody. You turn it in to up, and the information does not come back down. You turn it in, and then you're completely disconnected because they keep you disconnected from the information. So that way, there's no accounting for it, and nobody can put enough pieces together to say why they're doing stuff. They just do it because that's what they're saying to do. And it's a level of that way nobody knows too much, and only the higher ups know. And then, and even then, do they really know? Because then they've got their own agenda that's clouding the issues as to what the true facts are. I mean, it's like the comparison where, the NSA and the FBI and all these other government agencies have told Donald Trump that, yes, there was this spying going on, and yet he absolutely refuses to believe that it ever occurred, only because that does him better. I know you don't want to talk about politics, but, I mean, it's a point of where people believe what they want when it works for them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of spooky.
That's fine. Go ahead and believe what you want, but I'm allowed to believe what I've done.
Totally.
I've done my homework. Let's put it this way.
Oh yeah, I'm not a politics fan. I don't believe in any of them because most
check
of
out
them.
This last image This is the Philippine Islands. This is the road over there after the earthquake. I hope you guys are enjoying some of these images that I'm sharing with you tonight. This is, and go ahead and, I know everybody that's in here right now pretty much knows me. This is my Facebook page, you guys. Go ahead and follow me while I'm off the air on Facebook. I'll be putting up images like this if you want to keep track. And also follow Sam. Go over to Montana Skywatcher. He's got
Montana
a lot of
Skywatcher 2.
Yeah.
Is the open site where we let just about everybody in there, and we try to ask you that you have a face on your Facebook page, because if you're a company or an unknown character, well then we don't necessarily need people we can't communicate with. We'd rather have real people, but just about everybody gets in until they become a pain in the butt, and then they're gone. I don't have enough time in the day to deal with finger pointers or people with real conspiracy issues. We just try to do real science and send in member sightings, and then we do comparatives and we discuss and debate. But when people start multi-posting stuff they found on the net and YouTube and so says this, and please fund my site here, and then we stop with that. That stuff doesn't get up.
So what do you think of that road image? Did you get
I looked
open?
at it. Well, that's you're seeing pillowing and pocketing and changing of the subterranean area, and of course we know that there's multiple volcanoes getting ready to burp in that area, because we know that Baby Krakatoa, which is now called something else, but Baby Krakatoa,
they'll never be able to rebuild that road, will they, Samuel? I mean,
they can rebuild it for now and take a big scrape to it and put a whole bunch of new pavement on it, but 6 months from now it's going to move again.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
They're directly, and you see that's where usually all of that stuff is built, to where an area that's already been cleared, and they got, look, we can drive a D9, D10, D12 cat along here, and we can put a road right here, and these fault lines are usually already, a lot of fault lines will run under a river. And if you're right at the side of a fault line because you built next to a river, well, then you better expect your road to be gone 20 years from now because, nothing is ever stable. Everybody always thinks if you put something here, it'll be there from 100 years from now, and it won't. The only thing that's, lasted 800 years is the pyramids and Chinese temples, And
people have to understand we're having some major, major earth changes here. I never seen anything like this when I was growing up.
Well, I always chuckle because I always tell people, go back in history, 3,650 some odd to 3,700 years ago, approximately 1650, 1730 BC. And you'll see that all of this happened as well. And in the end of the Egyptian first dynasty, everybody looks at northern Africa and they say, oh, look, it's desert. It's this huge, massive killer desert. Well, it never used to be. At the end of the last cycle at 1700 BC, 1600 BC, it used to be a lush, high plains region with millions of teeming amounts of life and rivers everywhere and all sorts of stuff. I mean, the early Egyptian culture was massively wealthy and was growing agriculture everywhere and took over portions of the world. And then when that climate change occurred after the Nibiru gods and everything came in and regovernored everybody, and they came in and took their tribute and everything, the region changed. And these are these different plagues of the different ages of men that happen every cycle. Just go back and look at what happened 2 cycles ago. Add it up on a calculator, subtract it from the year 2020 or 2019, and go back in history and look what happened. If you can find, go back in Chinese history, they go back 2 cycles. And
go to our next one here, Samuel. And
they're
this
the
is a
inventor
phenomenal
of the discussion
picture
of the dragon. I saw one today where somebody was actually defending the possibility that dinosaurs weren't real, and I just about laughed myself out of the chair. It's like, oh God, you're kidding me. Written recorded history goes back 10,000 years if it's lucky, and you're gonna debate 60 and 70 and 150 million year old fact. Okay, let's click on this. Oh, that one. That is a planetary discharge coming from Attu and Attu's moon to Earth, and the purple lightning. But we never had purple lightning until 2010, and everybody's gotten completely used to it like it's normal.
Yeah. Yep.
Always yellow, red, or white.
Yep.
And the purple lightning is discharged at an ion level or an electricity level between the planetary bodies. And we've watched this discharge from the object cluster group and Attu and Attu's moon. We saw it discharge on the side of Uri. We saw it discharge on the side of Saturn, because Saturn is much bigger than Nepacity. Nepacity is kind of a smaller planet. I don't know if it's Earth-sized or smaller even. Might be a little bit bigger than Earth. I don't know, because I don't have a big old measuring stick or a laser that will do it when they pass. But anyway, and we've seen the discharges going off from these bodies. That's how they don't crash into each other. And people have to understand, they're always, oh, it's Armageddon, it's the end of the world. No, Earth is going to be fine. It's all of us on this land masses that are about to break up and reshift. I mean, people wonder how, these 50 layers of clay and slate and granite all laid out in these lines are standing straight up, and it's a half a mile high. And they're going, well, how did that half a mile stretch of land get straight up vertical? Well, this stuff moves quick. It would like big jolt, something big's coming. We could, and here NASA's, telling everybody we're going to see an asteroid event within our lives. So,
yes.
I tell people to worry when the ground shakes and when your house roof rips off with the nearest, winds come by or whatever. Then worry. But until then, plan. Oh, I get some people that just go off, and every day they're sending me a new message over something else that they're panicking about that they read on the internet.
I saw the post on your Facebook today. How much time do we have? And you wrote forever.
Uh-huh.
I love that. I got a good chuckle out of that.
Well,
okay, you have a question in the chat. Do you think Antarctica will thaw out after this cycle?
It's doing so. We know that we've already geographically changed locations because we know that the jet streams have changed. We know that in 2009, 2010, my long looked at radar pages that I checked every day for the longest period of time prior to going public, because I'm a science nut. I got to have my stuff. I got to look at it. Otherwise, I'm deficient. Go crazy. But anyway, all of a sudden, the radar feed pictures changed where they tipped a small percentage to the left. And we watched that, and we watched it. And then all of a sudden, none of those radar feeds were available anymore. And that's when they first started removing all of the scientific feeds that everybody so normally used time after time for years. And then ever since then, they've switched to taking radar off of television news and everything else. And so they're no longer even sharing real-time information with anyone. And it's 2 hours old or 3 or 4 or the next day. And we don't have live feed on of a lot of stuff that we used to use regularly as real science. And
okay.
So we got to
Samuel,
see that we've already changed, and we might see a small already pole shift, because it's not going to be a complete flip over. We can probably see a small percentage pole shift occurring, and we know we've already wobbled routinely over the last 10 years. God only knows where we're going to end up when they leave. That's the biggie, is what's going to happen when they leave.
Right.
Or let go. We could be false magneted in place right now, and something could have. And of course, then there's the mid-earth water bulge. Where is that going to shift to? And that's examples of why the tide drew out, in South America. And these people, they're a fishing village, and all their lives they've had their boats floating here on their pole. That's Juan's pole, and that's Pedro's pole, and the Lucas families is over there. And all of a sudden, their boat's sitting on the ground, and they can't see the ocean for 3 miles. It's gone. Where the hell did the ocean go? And that would be where the Earth bulge, which is in the center of the spinning, rotating Earth, has moved briefly or gone away. So the water level has suddenly just seriously gone somewhere else. And that's what's been happening for 2 to 3 years now. And why, and then, of course, then there's also all the water subducting underground in the Mississippi. And about 5 years ago, there was these 2 or 3 major vortexes off the coast of South America in the Pacific Ocean that were these massive mile-long, wide vortexes sucking ocean. And that went away, and nobody ever talks about that anymore. I mean, just massive amounts of seawater just disappearing down these open holes in the middle of the ocean. And that was the topic for quite a while. And then all of a sudden, they went away, and now we don't talk about it anymore. So, we're seeing major Earth changes, and it happens every 3,654, 57 years. Just look back at history, and you'll see what's coming. Go ahead.
Okay, everybody, the last 3 links. How many people know that this happened in Northern California? This is Northern California I'm putting up here. Now, did they show this on the nightly news? No. You're seeing it here with Bad Baby.
When was it? Oh,
this was the last.
There's rumors that California is sinking.
This was April 22nd when this happened.
Well, see that 3-foot, 5-foot lip, 6-foot lip? That area sank.
Yes.
That whole area right there, or something stretched apart. Yeah, and if you're living along the San Andreas Fault, you're brave. Or
you're brave. Or stupid.
Well, look what, and then we talked about the last show.
Come on.
we talked about the last show. If you go to the beach right now, you're committing suicide, because the sand and the oceans on the Pacific Ocean are highly radioactive. I mean, highly radioactive. I watched about 4 different videos of people walking up to the ocean shore with Geiger counters and watched those things go up into the toxic region of rad. 285 millisieverts per hour. That's hundreds of times past the point of damage. Just at the black sands on the coast of the beach. And this is just walking up to the shore, not getting in the water.
Okay, this pic that I just put up right here, this happened in the last week. This is Ottawa, Canada, people. and they're having massive flooding over there. This has just happened in the
Yeah,
last week.
I saw I saw that they are Canada, all over mid-central Canada is flooding as well. And these are the planetary effects is passing. They get it too because they get we don't even get Canadian weather anymore. They stopped sharing their weather with us, and we used to see it every day. And now we don't get those feeds because they're cutting information.
So what do you think? Do you think they're hiding it from us?
Well, they're trying not to have everybody go, oh, we're in deep shit, we need to start doing this. Because then we're not going to keep paying attention to doing and feeding their coppers, and then they won't be able to sneak away when it's time for them to sneak away. And they want everybody as distracted and as pissed off as possible, and that way when they make a quiet exit, when the rats leave the ship, nobody will notice. And
okay,
I mean,
this link I just put up now is Kenya, where it's flooding.
The Mississippi is at its highest ever recorded flood stage. It's at 24 feet today, and they've never, ever recorded it above 24 feet before, ever. And that goes back 200, 300 years. Yeah, about 200 years, I think. Okay, I'll find that link. Yeah, and I heard a couple of days ago, I was watching that, and they went, boy, it's getting up there. And I went, yeah, watch, it's going to go past. And it did, or as of today, it already went by. The highest ever. And the dikes are failing already, and everything's already flooded. And if you add more rain, which it's going to keep doing, yeah.
Now, this last snowstorm that just came through here, in fact, I'll put a post up here, 109 years, it says.
Yeah, we had 10 inches of snow in Great Falls, which is on the other side of the Rockies from me, but we had 10 inches the other day in Great Falls.
Yeah, May 1st. So it's like winter doesn't want to let go.
Well, there's planet shadowing with the onset of Uri, excuse me, in the afternoons, and these planets, they set in, and then we get clouded. And I was watching the radar. I've got a couple of sites that you can still actually watch pretty much live feed. It's a little old, but it's still pretty much undoctored. And you can see planetary shadowing onset. And this is what's happening all over the place, and you can see it in the photographs I get from Scotland or from wherever, and they're cloud covered, and it's this Uri onset, which we've seen for 2 cycles now, and realized that yes, this is happening with the asteroid group that it has underneath it, and that's some monster stuff that goes on with that. And then of course the lead asteroid, and then there's the Attu asteroids, and then there's the Nepicity asteroids, and they're all, and there's one layer underneath the whole group as they pass and angle past us every day. And so some of this big stuff is causing, and of course some of it's falling off too, and coming into our atmosphere, because there's big meteor green stuff been coming in for a couple of weeks now again. And like I said, it is cyclic. We've seen this cycle before, but now it's bigger and bigger and bigger each time. So, they're perhaps performing their drills because this might not be the event, and they're going to use this as the basis event to learn from, or this could be an event, and they're just not going to tell us and say, oh, well, we had this because we thought it might be happening. And the national news did actually change their statement on the second day, saying that they're planning this for coming asteroid events. And then the next day, NASA says, well, expect an asteroid event to hit Earth in your lifetime. And they're talking a serious asteroid event, not just a small one. Not a meteor, but an asteroid. So it's called soft disclosure. We're seeing big chunks of it. And we should prepare. And, if you can afford that extra 60-pound bag of rice, or oats or whatever to put away, that would be a good idea. Extra toilet paper, that kind of thing.
I would say, we're going to have such a massive food shortage from the last bomb cyclone that came across the United States.
Oh, yeah. I watched the farm reports.
It's just so devastating what's happening to the farms.
The soybean market just dropped the wheat market because soybean availability from other countries is far exceeding our own, and it affected our market. And now our wheat market took a kick in the knee, which is okay. But I'd rather they leave it in this country anyway, but we'll never see it anyway. It'll be laying on some pile in some field. We're going to rot before they ever give it to us. Yeah, we're going to see, if we have a really, really nasty summer, if you want to buy an air conditioner, now would be the time. Because
Yeah.
you
I know
won't get one.
last year it was so hot here, and I went into the store because my fan blew up, and I went to get a fan, and I couldn't find a fan, and there were people on Facebook asking if anyone had a used air conditioner for sale, and blah blah blah.
One year I went to many different states to find one.
Right. Just get out there and get your equipment now, people, beforehand, because when the heat wave hits, you're going to be begging for air conditioner
either that or we'll have
fan.
a really cool summer where it's just raining all the time and then everybody floods, which is also possible from all the volcanic activity. Sort of that mini non-summer, which does happen, a volcanic winter. I got my cough drop in, but it's not helping. I'm talking too long. But anyway.
Okay.
You say something for 5 minutes. I'll suck on this cough drop.
All right. Well, I just want to let everyone know that, I'm not going to be on the air here for every week for the summer. I am going to keep in touch with Sam, and it's because of my health, so please keep me in your prayers. Things aren't going real well with me health-wise.
Everybody's not feeling well.
If I'm feeling up to a show, the day of my show, I will contact Samuel and say, hey, you feel like doing a show tonight? And I will post it. So the only way you're going to know whether I'm doing a show or not is to hop over to TalkShoe, take a look, see if I got a show posted for that night, and then join us. If you don't, go on TalkShoe. Every once in a while, go check me out on YouTube and see if I have any new postings. Go over to my site on YouTube and subscribe to me, and then click the notifications, and then you'll get a notification. Because every time I do a show, I do the next day or so, I put it up on YouTube. So if you missed me on Friday night, go and check my YouTube site, and you'll be able to catch my recording there. The only problem with going to YouTube is that you're not going to be able to click on the links that we're showing and see what we're looking at. It's better to catch us live, is what I'm saying.
I'm looking at a comment
here. How you feeling
here.
Now?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm looking at a comment that says, remember the 6-month warning and takedown event coming, FEMA and DHS. Note, we entered the 180-day cycle change around March 23rd or so. And so this is where we're moving into the active period. Will run all the way up until September, which is like a 6-month period. And now this is when they're right here in our faces doing all sorts of cool stuff. And I've been able to call the coming events because there's a level of cyclic expectation. All I have to do is go through the back pictures from the last 3 to 5 years, and I can see pretty much what's coming. Except, the moment I take things for granted, that's when it's going to teach me different. But we've watched these for so long that it is absolutely irrefutable anymore. And anybody who doesn't listen to this information and doesn't jump on board with it and actually go out and study and try and learn it, my videos are available. Start with Understanding the Skies 1, so you can learn what the base clouds of these almost invisible planets look like. And then once you start to see what they look like on the bottom, you'll start to see the rest of them. And once you do, it's like somebody drops this giant thing in your lap and you go, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't see them before. And there's thousands of people that have seen them. And I reran that video from that guy over there in England again from last year, and I just sat here and chuckled because I've never met the man, and he took the time to actually go into my information and try to learn it. And he's going, well, Samuel's actually absolutely right. And I was just chuckling. Because, I'm not trying to do this for notoriety or anything. I'm trying to do this to get the word out. And when the truth, it's crawling on its hands and knees, whereas gossip is flying like rockets, and we got to get on board with the reality, and then we can get away from all of the wasted time and actually do some real science and some study where people actually understand that, ET is right here, and there's not just one faction. There's multiple factions are here. from Apophis 944, whatever it is, whatever that number is, this rock where they thought that maybe it was an alien spaceship and it was this big long asteroid, and they watched it until it went pretty much out of our solar system, and then all of a sudden it started speeding up, not slowing down after leaving our solar system. And they went, what's this? And so it's like somebody turned on the engine and now they're leaving, that kind of thing. And it's this big, long, cigar-shaped asteroid. It was massive, and they watched it, and they were kind of wondering. And the rumors were, so when they hinted stuff, they're telling you a lot of stuff, but don't go overboard, because believe me, don't listen to NASA, because they're lying their ass off.
Yeah.
They truly are.
Okay, I got a question here. Is my YouTube channel Bad Baby? No. It is Fight for Our Freedom Radio, you guys, and it's the same logo picture as I have here on TalkShoe. So you just go into YouTube and put Fight for Our Freedom Radio, and it'll take you right up to my shows.
Some of the interviews have ended up on YouTube. And if you type in my name and into YouTube search engine, you'll find one of our Fight for Our Freedom Radio shows on there.
Right.
On
because what I do is when I download them, underneath the show for you, I would put Samuel Hoffman and Bad Baby, so if they put Bad Baby, that gives you, I guess it pulls up the search.
Yeah, they're pulling up new key flag words, which is great, because I've noticed that, and this is how I found that guy's video where he's talking about me, and we don't even know each other, and it ended up, because he used my name and typed it on the title from his YouTube site, it ended up in my file, and I was like, cool. And
see, that's because he flagged you, Samuel.
Right, and and there are people that have turned my videos into Swedish and Spanish and French, and I think some in German, and I can't remember what. It's like 5 languages now, which is cool. Get them out there and do it. And we lost so many videos when a certain co-admin decided to go wah on us and block my work because he had a disagreement over 2 pictures out of a million.
Now I have a question for you, Samuel. This month, May, I think it's the 15th, is when they're going to have drills for the 3 days of darkness. And people are seeing massive postings about generators. They're talking a lot about China is planning on doing an EMP on us.
China is talking, now when we're talking these solar generators, they're talking about space mirrors set up on platforms that will refract a certain amount of light at a certain angle that they will aim down at space and illuminate a partial region, not the entire planet. A mirror that big would be so big that we couldn't build it in 100 years and put it up there. And people got to take that into account. The emitters will shine an area. They can cover, a crop-laden county or a region in China, you bet, with a refractive area of extra light. Yes, but there is no major sun simulator that the humans have for technology. They may be building one up there, but it ain't working yet. And this is where some of the money boys and their little crazy ideas have gone completely BS crazy on the internet, and then people, because they don't understand the light issue that's going on between the sun. These planets are climbing right next to the sun on either side and sometimes above, and they're changing the light, and everybody sees this big, huge, bright light, and they go, oh, it's a sun simulator. No, it's refractive pinch because it's flaring, because it's being pinched, and the angle is being changed as the light erupts around the round of the planets and through the atmosphere, and it's being focaled into a magnified amount of light. And there is a planetary extra body, but we can go into that, if somebody gets into my research, and that has to do with star technology and Nibiru. That's an entirely different subject, and that has to do with the blue shaft light that we see every once in a while in some pictures, and then you can research that and look up what that means. But no, there's minute amounts of light can be refracted toward regions on Earth, but not enough to cover the entire planet. Now, the 3 days of darkness is a reference to Revelations, where it talks about the sun stalling and we'll have 3 days of darkness. Well, what people don't take into account from that Revelation's point of view is if one side of the planet is dark, the other side is going to be illuminated for 3 days, which would signify a planetary stall, which has to do with us not orbiting or rotating in the normal magnetosphere, which would have to do with pole shift. We'd have to switch poles, and that's when they imagine we're going to stall and everything's in the oceans are going to come out of their basins, which is entirely possible when they leave. It's possible, but not probable. There's been only 15 events that, in major events, not minor graduations on the percentage spectrum, but there's only been 15 major events in the 6.8 billion years, billion with a B, of Earth's history where we have completely switched pole magnetic, which is representative inside of a rock pole memory within geologic records. A rock, when it's formed, will have a north pole and a south pole. And only within 15 times in that 6.8 billion years have we done so. So any major pole shift would be less likely, and therefore we might see a minor pole shift, where in which case a segment of the Earth may actually see a backup of the sun, which has already happened in biblical records many times, and or we might see a stall, but it won't be as catastrophic as I imagine. But in that same set of stall, you could see continents slide from one place to another and crash into another continent, thus creating tidal waves, earthquakes, God only knows. I mean, we're all along for the ride here, and it's the people that pop their heads out of the rubble and the tree branches when it's all done, and then the fun begins, and that's when you start worrying. But during the ride, if you've ever been in a tornado or an earthquake or a major catastrophic thing, you don't usually have time to worry. You just have time to hang on.
That's
and then
it.
After that, then worry.
Yeah, worry what you're going to do next. Okay, why don't you click on this link that I just put up. This was a photo that was taken April 19th in Argentina, and tell us what we're looking at here.
Strange sounds. Tectonic plates moving like fingers on a crystal glass. That is the lead asteroid. We have been seeing, and that's what it looks like in a cold environment, because it's got that nubby bottom center piece is the asteroid tail, and the rest of that's a cold ion cloud around it. And if you look above it, and then see that big purple round thing above it, you see Atu, and Atu's moon.
And then, what's interesting about this photo is below it, we got blue skies.
Right, because the atmosphere we're looking at is not the clouds belonging to Earth. The cumulus nimbus clouds are right here in the middle of the picture, or they're cumulus, they're not cumulus nimbus because they're not rising, and then you've got the ionosphere clouds pressurized close to those, right over the tops, which shows you a compressed Earth orbit, because there is directly a planet directly above Earth in passing, and all our atmospheres get smashed down. If you look at the cumulus nimbus, which is the big mounting, I'm going to say sugar puff, but it's like the stuff that you get at the circus, candy floss. Why can't I think of cotton candy? I couldn't think of the name of the stupid cotton candy. The cotton candy clouds, if you look recently, they're all smashed at the top, which shows you that the ionosphere is pressurized. And because these things are bumping into us, and their atmosphere is pushing up against our atmosphere. And they have a higher density in most cases, and so their density of their pressurization is heavier than ours, pushing our thinner upper atmosphere down and pressurizing it, which is also why people are freaking out and getting grumpy and angry. Me and the kids the other night all talked out. Next morning we woke up and we were all asking, did your legs hurt last night? My knees and my feet were aching and my hips were hurting like crazy. And we all experienced it at the same time. So, there's pressurization. There's millibar issues with these storms because they're literally hurricane strength on land, and we've never seen that before. Not in history, recorded history. On land hurricanes, and 930 millibars, 990 millibars. Usually it runs 1,000 to 1,200 millibars. When you get that low pressure, that's where you get the on-land hurricanes and cyclones and all that crap. So it's all weather related, all planetary related.
And people are catching such phenomenal pictures.
Oh yeah, yeah. Once they realize what they're looking for, and I got to talk about the Texas Cube. It's been sighted on the left-hand side. I saw it today, sitting at the parking lot, looking up, seeing the Texas Cube and the side orb, and a big, huge triangular ship parked next to it, all in the clouds, all looking really wispy and barely there. And I'm looking at it and going, "Oh my God, it's right there! How can people not see this?" And ET is here. And nobody, and they all act like they're, asleep. Like, okay, you said ET's here. Yep. And then they go about their business and say, well, shit, did you see that new, wow. They got a brand new ski-doo for this year. You bet. I got me a new tractor. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did you know that Chevy has the new remote control tailgate on their truck? Huh?
Cool. Well, I hear everybody switching to Chevy anyway, so.
Oh yeah, that's
I can't even imagine paying
that
much money for a damn truck. Things should fly for that cost. Didn't Cessnas used to cost about $75,000? Now they're, millions of dollars. Anyway, humans, as long as you're greedy and rob people, you can live on anything and live in high on the hog. And as long as you're a working man, you can go to hell. Anyway, I digress.
Okay, take a look at this last link that I just put up.
Facebook.com/storm. Yeah, it's really seriously. Oh yeah, this. I looked at this and I thought, is this a passing planet? Is this just a normal storm cell? It's kind of small to be a passing planet, but you should see what's coming this week. If you anybody that lives from Texas to Ohio to Vermont, to all the way up the East Coast from South Carolina and Georgia and all of that, and Arkansas and Tennessee and everybody in Missouri, and what's going to come this week is going to be nasty. And then it's just going to be worse this summer. It's going to happen over and over and over again. And, if you've got stuff you want to keep dry, you better start getting some waterproof tubs.
Yeah, get your things out of the basement, people, if they're something special to you. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many people on the news right now in Michigan that are saying they lost all their family photos because they had them in the basement.
Well, that's what happened to Canada last year in the last cycle of these passing planets. Canada's got storms so bad, and that's why we stopped getting Canadian news. We stopped getting Canadian weather reports because they cut.
Put your family. I would suggest that you put your family photos in some Ziploc baggies, and then in something else that's waterproof
and all
seal.
That. Get your, if you really think about
your
traveling.
Important papers. Exactly. Your birth certificates, things that are important. Put those in some waterproof things. First in Ziplocs, and then some water-sealed containers.
But then there's also the thing that
go to a yard sale. Get yourself a Tupperware container that's sealed.
Right. Remember, if you can't carry it, it doesn't have any value. If you can't survive with it and you can't carry it, it doesn't mean anything. So remember not to go too crazy.
Exactly. Ziploc. I mean, you can take your passports, your birth certificates, things that are important. Put them in a Ziploc. Put them in a Tupperware pitcher. Those square Tupperware pitchers. And then if it does get wet in a wet area, it's going to float. It isn't going to get destroyed.
Right.
Just think ahead.
And I've talked about this before. I've got all of my bug out camping gear and everything in one pile. And that way I'm not spending an hour searching for, oh, God, where did I put my hatchet? And, God, what did I put with the camping stove?
Exactly.
Where's the tent? And what did I do with the tarps last week? And so they're all in one place. And that way if you do have to bug out because the weather's gone on you, and, have extra tarps around in case you need to cover your roof that just got half ripped off. If you have the money, buy a tarp or two that's going to cover your entire house if you can afford it. Plan these things because there's a possibility. If you look at everybody, all these major tornadoes that are going through and just turning toothpicks into, the entire neighborhoods. And these trees are being ripped down at the ground level now. So it's time to focus on that.
Well, here's another thing, too. People that are flooded out right now, They're in the upstairs waiting to be rescued, and
Right.
there was an elderly couple that almost drowned because they couldn't swim, they couldn't go out the window. All they needed was a roll of duct tape, 2 coolers, and a 2x4.
Right.
You
Yeah, you
know,
can
you can
flotation
make a
devices.
portable raft. You duct tape those 2 coolers onto a 2x4, and then throw it out, and you can hold onto that 2x4.
Well,
It'll
yeah,
float.
fishing life preservers in the house in your closet. If
You
you're
know, I
living in a
mean,
flood region where you could wake up and you can't go anywhere, well, you need that. And a wetsuit. You can float in a wetsuit, and it'll protect you from a lot of the wood poking.
I've
Because
seen 2-man inflatable boats in yard sales for $19.99.
most of the deaths will come from being stabbed rather than being drowned. You know. And not only
Yeah.
that, the cube is here and the asteroids and everything that are going on. I mean, we are really, really in some notorietous territory here, and yet everybody's acting like it's just normal. And I keep going, oh my God, and I keep playing Anybody Listening by Queensryche on a regular basis, because it's like I'm talking to an empty room. And it's like,
Okay,
God, you
Sam, you
guys.
look at this last photo and tell me what you think about this.
Okay. All right. And somebody else said, you need a water filter. Okay, I'm looking at the light. Oh, that's another one of my pictures. That's Attu and Nepenthe passing close plant about 2015, 2016. Another one of my photos. I'm sure somebody else took it, but it's that old and it came from me because it's one of my saved pictures that I regularly use.
Now, that is not a normal sky.
No, and the trick that I point out to everybody is don't look at the lit areas in the sun pictures and in the lightning pictures. Look at the dark areas first. Look for those big, huge, massive rounds of a big, huge planet being extremely way too close to Earth. When I saw Attu's moon 2 years ago on its first major close pass in town, I was in the mountains on the highway, on the interstate above the city, and I was driving back into Missoula from Clinton, Montana, which is east of here. And it was about a 30-mile drive, and I actually pulled over. And I've got a picture. I'll send it to you. I mean, you can't believe it unless you see it. It looks like a giant balloon from a float from a Macy's Day Parade of this massive planet, and it's just right above the deck. And you wonder how the hell they could possibly be that close. And yet it's an illusion of the eye because they are. They're within a couple hundred miles, and yet these things are so massive that they mess with our reality. And I sat there and I looked at that, and it was like I was looking for the string. But what is holding that close? Because it argued with my, and I've been watching these for years, and when I saw Attu's moon that close, I just went, oh my God, it's like a big balloon, like a big float right over the city. And I couldn't believe it. I actually pulled off the highway and sat there and stared at it. And I wish to God that I would have had a camera that works for me, because I fry cameras left and right, and I fry computers, and I fry watches and cell phones and radios and electronic equipment constantly, so I don't buy it anymore. But anyway, I've got one picture that is that somebody sent me, and it's like, I'll never forget it as long as I live. And these are there, and once you see these planets and all these asteroids, the little stuff, it's little and round, it's an asteroid. If it's massive, sky-filling, and there's this big, dark, rounded edge, and you can see it for sure, it's a planet. And where it is on which side of the sun depends on which planet it is, because they don't move in one day. They come in from a distance, and they're smaller at first, and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they're huge, and then they go over the top of us, and then they go away. And it's all in the course of every day. And it's not a 24-hour
Okay, now
cycle.
click on the next link and tell me what we're looking at here.
Okay, is this big long one?
Yes.
Okay. It's being really slow. I've clicked twice and it hasn't done it. Ah, there we go. 3 times is the charm. Probably delete my browsing history before you know it. Meteor showers tonight. Yeah, red sprites. Oh, that's another one of mine. That is an older picture from last year, and those sprites are the object cluster group. And the reason that they're sparking in space is that's what metal does when metal hits our ionosphere and gets into the electricity of the Earth. And those are electrical discharges. And they go to the upper and the outer atmosphere, and they reach down and they reach up, and they go zorch. But yeah, that's the storm. It's either 2017 or 2018 that this occurred. And these are these asteroids coming in, and they create sprites. Everybody says, oh, those are just sprites, but they don't ask what sprites are. And they're asteroids, but made of a higher content of metal than just rock. That's what a sprite is.
So do you think, Samuel, we're going to have a meteor shower coming in?
I've been expecting us to have another Chelyabinsk for the last 4 years. I'm amazed we haven't been pasted yet. Now, if you really want to know the details, you know the fifth age, you know what the Mayan calendar is. You know that big skull in the middle of the Mayan calendar. And if you look on the Mayan calendar, there's 4 other squares. And we're supposed to be going into the fifth age, and I've been talking about this to some people. The Mayan calendar is showing that skull, and we've had pictures and sightings of the skull in the asteroid group right behind the Texas cube, and they're hiding it with all these weird space chems, ions coming off of the cube and all of this, and the asteroids. And we've been seeing the face again. I don't talk a lot about it, but we believe it's wormwood, and we believe that this is the coming of the fifth age. Now, I expect to be pasted. I really do. We're going to have some sort of it may not be a full, life-breaching event on the planet, but if we do get hit, it's going to be a whopper. And it may be, because the other ones, if you look at the Mayan calendar, the other ones were floods, and the one before that was something, and the one before that was something else. And the fifth age is going to be this skull, which is in dead center in the Mayan calendar. And that could be wormwood. And we're going to get pasted by something good. Now, we even go to Ed Dames and those guys, and they talk about the shot across the bow. Well, we're having that shot across the bow again from the lead object from the object cluster group. It's going straight across the planet, and it's this big, long ion trail from one end of the sky to the other, and we're watching it again. This is like our 3rd or 4th time, and it's really big, and it's really cool, and it's really spooky. And sometimes it's masked in clouds. Other times it's just as clear as bell as you can see these damn things. I've got close-ups of them for the last 7 years. So, this is well proven what's what and who's who, because we can see the facial markings on it and the shadowing and the behavior of the clouds and everything time after time after time after time. And we've got files of this stuff. So, it's not like we're guessing here, because we're not. And NASA even called it the asteroid fact, but then they told everybody that it was 3 light years away or something stupid like that, and yet they come by every day because they rotate underneath the passing planets, which NASA is not divulging, which is right here because we have tons of proof nonstop showing that these things are passing right over the top of us and affecting our weather and all sorts of stuff. Close passes, discharges, planetary events, earthquakes, storms, flooding, frying. The locusts got to Iran this week, and the biggest damn locusts I've ever seen. They're literally like 3.5 to 4 inches long. Just devastating amounts of locusts in Iran. If that's not biblical, I don't know what is. And the flooding in the desert. The desert's flooding.
Yeah.
And boy, I tell you, the Dead Sea really needs the water right now, because it's draining because it's low, because they're taking the water out and giving it to everybody else, and the Dead Sea is getting lower than it should be. But, that's been an ocean for millions of years anyway. It'll live or die whether we know, because we're just fleas in the way. Earth will recover. It don't need us.
Okay, we have a question.
Okay. Yeah, here look at how many of these pictures have been mine. It shows you how much of this information that and I hate to brag, but our work at Montana Skywatcher has laid the groundwork for 90% of what's out there. The reality is, and the rest is gossip bullshit. Chuckle, pat myself on the back, and I try not to be arrogant about it, but we've worked hard for this.
We're coming up on the last 10 minutes here, Samuel, so why don't you give out information about how people, because I'm not going to be out here again. I'm not going to be out here every week, you guys. So start following us on Facebook.
Go to Facebook, look up Montana Skywatcher 2. Not now. There's a couple of parody sites out there where the people are trolling me. That would be Montana Skywatcher 3 or 4 or whatever, because there's a couple of them out there where there's people who love to dog me, and they've got like 20 members. Anyway, and compared to our 10,000, but Facebook, and then I run Montana Skywatcher 1, and that's where people who become seasoned veterans get put into our private site where we have different discussions about other metaphysical things, less sightings and occasional more music, this, that, and the other thing. And, of course, I'm running Skywatcher Music Room, too, which you can also look for on Facebook. And that's where I throw my tunes all day long. That keeps me working. And then, of course, YouTube, type in Samuel Hoffman, SamuelHoffman. And if you want to send me 5 to 10 to 20 to way more money, to help out, because we're going to need a new computer here anytime soon, so we can keep doing our work. Any donation will be greatly appreciated, because I don't get any money out of this, and I've been doing it for a decade. That was to P.O. Box 625, Lolo, L-O-L-O, Montana, 59847. And personal checks, money orders, $5 bill inside of a card. My kids love to get mail. Anything you can do, it'll help, period. And get a hold of me. I'm in the phone book even, and I hate to give that out, but, I occasionally take calls from people and talk to them and work things out for them. Pretty good at what I do, and I know what I'm doing, and I don't guess, and we only try to share the best science that we can do, and I've got a lot of practice at this. And I'll be doing a show also for Radio Wasteland coming up here on the 13th, and that is for the West Coast live audience. And you can type that in, look that one up. And I've got some of their highest rated programs they've ever done with them, and they like to have me back from time to time. And people keep asking where my next video is. Well, I've been unable to post any videos recently for some reason. Either Montana has absolute snail upload speed, or I'm being blocked. I think it may be both. Because I can't even get an 11-minute video up. It took 4 days of trying, and it never, ever got posted for my last 11-minute video. And my Skype doesn't work, and other things don't work, so I think I'm kind of being blocked. And I hate to say it, but then my phone goes click, so I hope I'm still here. Am I still here?
Yeah, you're there. You're there.
Yeah,
I'm
still here. I heard this click, and I thought, yeah, that's perfect. It was the phone again. I just got my phone reconnected here like a week ago. It's been disconnected for an entire month. We don't know why. It was sort of mysterious out of the blue. Yet my internet continued working, thank God. So I was allowed to look at all these thousands of pictures I've been sent for the last month. And every month we get a new file, and I post that, and then I do drawings of generalization of where the planets are. And if you join our site and post your pics, and you can keep a copy of my drawing, and then you compare it. That way you know which planet is which, and then you can watch all the old videos and get taught some key background lessons to teach you how to see the planets when you step out your own front door. And remember, they're hard to see when you're at lower sea levels, and your angles may be different than mine, but they're definitely there. And we've had thousands of people that around the world who see them every day and communicate with us. And we all stick our pictures together because we know that when there's a particular weird-looking cloud that looks like this in Japan, and it also looks like that over Illinois or New York or California or Montana even, then we know it's not just a cloud. We know that that is a atmospheric anomaly above Earth. And it's not Earth's atmosphere we're viewing. We're viewing a spatial thing because it's from around the planets way, way, way up in the sky. Also remember, while you're watching these planets or looking for the planets, remember that the light on objects way, way far above will be more illuminated than even after sunset. So sunrise and sunset is a good time to see the passing planets and all of the asteroids near the sun currently. So if you see a round thing near the sun, if it's not sky-filling round, it's an asteroid, and there's a lot of them right now. Keep looking for the rainbow hue stuff, and that'll show you that it's asteroids that are currently passing through an illumination or a refraction of the sun angle. And it's worth noting that if something comes down the sky looks really freaky and weird, maybe you should pay attention to it. And, we don't know if it's good. Next week we could have a big event, and we can never have internet again. We don't know. It could happen any day now. It could happen an hour from now. It could happen 6 months from now or 20 years from now. But they're telling us it's coming. And they're giving cute little names like Apophis 944. I forget. I got one written down here. I need to look up. And they give you these cute little numbers, but a lot of times it's a distraction. And then just about when you figure out what's going on, they change the names and numbers again, so they keep you confused. So pay attention, and remember, you are the smart person, and they are lying to you. And don't jump into the hooey, and don't jump into the hype or the religious craze, going, Jesus is here. And I saw a couple all week going, Jesus is coming, Jesus is here we go again. Well, believe that if you wish, but that isn't going to help you see these planets any better. And then after this shit hits the fan, then worry about Jesus showing up. And I'll talk to him later. But right now we need to pay attention on what's in the skies.
One of the things that I wanted to mention tonight, too, is when you're trying to find me, also know that I'm being trolled. There is a fake Fight for Our Freedom radio here on TalkShoe that has no recordings on it, and it's all lowercase letters. A woman's name on there. I don't have no idea who she is. There are no recordings there. I feel that they put that up to have you go over there and go, well, what? There's nothing here.
Right.
So always know, if you're looking for me, I'm always in capital letters, you guys. Again, you can find me on YouTube. Just go into the YouTube search engine and put Fight for Our Freedom Radio. And I have the same picture on my YouTube videos as I have here on TalkShoe with the woman in the armor with the red hair.
They've got a Montana Skywatcher 3 Samuel Hoffman. They've actually got my name on it, and they're still using it. I'm amazed. There's only 30 or 40 members, so I don't even worry about it. They won't let me in, but yeah, I could see them downing you. They do it.
Yeah. So, if you accidentally go to these wrong places, you guys just know something's not right and go back and search again. Don't give up.
Just to eat up a couple of seconds, I meant to tease you about, remember we were trying to get on last week and I couldn't even get in. Meanwhile, you had some guy that was trolling the crap out of me, and I was reading. He was like, this guy can't even hook himself up onto the internet. What's wrong with him? I was just chuckling over them. So if he's listening tonight, dude, I was reading what you were saying, but, there's bigger things going on here than your irritating ego issue.
I get that all the time, Samuel.
Oh, I know. And, the people that weigh in.
Well, my comment for people like that is no one asked you to come here, and if you don't like what you're seeing or what you're hearing, then, it's just like a radio. Shut the switch off.
Dalen is bored, said, I captured this asteroid, and I'll look at it really fast. That's the one I'm talking about from this picture from John Jones. This is the one straight across the sky, and that's from this week. And these things are in certain areas look smaller, but in Malaysia, this thing is sky filler big at the center of the Earth as Earth passes. So this is why NASA's putting on those drills. It's because there's some shit right here, period, that they're like going, oh geez, because they're not in control. They're not correcting this. They don't have ships to fly up there and shoot this shit down. They're winging it. They're going, oh crap, we're going to get hit, and they're sucking seed as bad as the rest of us. They really are. They're not on top of this. They're not in charge. There's other factions up there that don't even pay attention to our factions at all. We're not, and don't give the power to these people, because when you give the power to the government that they're either going to stop us or they're going to save us, then they've already won. Don't let them win. We the people. We've got to remember, we the people, not this stupid, crazy government that's spending billions to hide this, because they're not interested in us. And I found that out in 1980 when, they asked me to come there, and then they scream at me and then bring me home in handcuffs and ruin my life for the rest of my life, all because I know stuff that they didn't want to hear. And just because they couldn't understand it either. They still are just now catching up to what my paper talked about that I wrote in 1978. And it's called Our Binary Solar System. I've known about this for 40 years. And they can't even touch it because they don't understand the premise of the electrical universe. And it is what occurs in the tabletop occurs in space. It's the same set of rules. It's the unification model that Einstein could never find because his gravitational theory was in the way. We don't revolve around a dinner plate. We travel sideways following our static star, and we're electrical compound in space. The Earth isn't going to end. It's going to go on. It's us that are in trouble. It's all just going to get rearranged like it does every cycle. And people need to pay attention. If you want to be in the part of the next cycle, wake up. Now's the time. Your turn.
Okay. Well, we got about 6 minutes left, and I just want to thank you so much for coming out here tonight and sharing with us, Samuel. I think we got a lot of good information out here.
Well, we need to. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You've got my phone number, and if anything pressing comes up, give me a call, and we'll jump out here.
What's going on right over the top of us right now is very pressing. And I mean, we're having storms from California all the way to the East Coast, and it's serious, and people need to really get out of their norm and start functioning and paying attention to the weather, because that lawn furniture may not be there next week, and
Exactly.
This is going to be gone, and your car could get crushed. And I can't even imagine those people with all the hail damage that we're going to see tomorrow, the next day, literally from Texas all the way to probably Pittsburgh. We're going to see hail damage beyond. So, rubber workout mats and a blanket on top of that to get those to bounce off your hood, to protect your windshield. Park your car in the garage, under a tree.
Right.
Well, under a tree is not so wise, depending on the tree. If it's got smaller branches, maybe. But, the big trees and the signs, watch out for the trees and the signs. Mitigate your property. If you got a thing next to your house, you better rethink about having it next to your house, because if you want to keep your roof, maybe remove those limbs ahead of time, because now it's only going to get worse. And God only knows what we're going to see this summer. We're already seeing record heat for this year in the tropical region. They've already seen record heat in Japan. And they're not, I watch all the world newses, and I watch digital, and I watch television, and I watch internet, and I'm always looking for this information because I want to be informed. And I do this for free for everybody because I'm very concerned. And not only that, I have been given information and was told many, many years ago that I would be doing this, and it would be basically, let's just say that it's already known of. So I've already done this, and I'm continuing what I've already done. So you folks need to listen. Now, I'm not trying to brag. I'm not to create any hype or anything like this, but I'm telling you what I'm telling you because it's true, and you need to pay attention. And I don't want to be that guy on the phone going, oh, I just escaped from this military base, and oh my God, you guys have to hear this. I don't want to be that guy. Everybody knows that radio program because they've heard it 50 times on Art Bell.
They're triangulating me. Oh.
Mm-hmm. But I've been in the deep underground military bases. I know how they think and what they think, and they're not looking out for us. They're looking out for them and their jobs and whether or not they can afford to send their kids to college and keep that extra vacation home and that new car. And beyond that,
if you're struggling financially and you don't have extra money to go out and buy some rice or a fan or whatever you need to cool yourself, go through your house, people, and gather up things you don't really need and have yourself a yard sale.
Well, you need cooking oil and those little foil packets of mashed potatoes that you can get for 90 cents. And they come in these foil packets now, and it serves like 3 people.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my God. And those things will last forever.
And here's another thing, too. Get into your local churches or your local area.
Right.
Find out where they're giving food giveaways. A lot of the churches are giving food giveaways.
And stock up those shelves and mark your cans when you put them on the shelf with the day you put it on the shelf. And that way you can rotate
Dylan
your stock.
says buy a water filter. They've got those drink straws you can get for like $19.99.
Right, and if you do save emergency water, regularly check it, because I've got floor issues because mine I had it for 5 years and then it started leaking everywhere. I was like, no. And I'm still dealing with some of the old bottles that I bought the other day. At Walmart, you get the plastic bottles, and I looked at one of the packs, and they're all squished and dehydrated and almost gone, and a few of them are popped, and I went, oh, God, there goes the wooden floor, because those things leak. So if you're going to put all your supplies and stuff on shelves and stuff, think about that stuff in a couple of years leaking. So maybe you should put a tarp down first and then go through your supplies, move them regularly, and check them, dust them, that kind of thing. But
Yep.
even a couple, if you buy an extra bag of potatoes, like I said, in that foil pack, and you've got the cooking oil or the cans or whatever, semi-fake butter that comes in a can that you can make it with, or milk or powdered milk or whatever, and then you make that, you can live off potatoes and rice and starches and cans of, vegetables and stuff like that until you find meat and whatever. But, who knows what's coming on. We could be spending the next 20 years in an excruciating food shortage with world drought scenarios where we can't even grow anything. And I was told by the Pleiadians to stay in Montana because we would have water, because I wanted to move to Arizona, because I could have got some real nice desert property down there for very cheap and set up a nice foundation for the Indigo Ranch, where I could bring people and have everybody work together. But unfortunately, I live in very expensive Montana, the home of the mountains and all the fresh water, and very few people, which is great. We have under 1 million people in the whole state, and I'm expecting people who are going to wake up in a disaster scenario go, well, let's go up to Sam because he kind of knows what he's talking about. And I was told that would happen too. So it's like, not that I want it, but that's going to probably happen. Well, some people have already moved up here, and I didn't invite them, but they did, which is great because I was told to stay here. Now, I can't further the future on that on a promise, but I try not to tell people to bug out of their homes or break up in their families or anything or sell everything they own. But seriously, we're all at an extreme change. We're going to change our lives one way or another, and we have to pay attention to that because it's right in front of us right now. I mean, everybody's houses are being blown away every day, everywhere you look.
Yes.
And flooding, and the people haven't recovered from Houston, and the people haven't recovered from last year's hurricane in South Carolina. Ask how they're feeling right now because FEMA hasn't even paid those people yet. Look what happened to Puerto Rico. They're not better yet, and they're all long forgotten. And there's people in FEMA camps everywhere out throughout the United States already. And look at how many people, immigrants, that are migrating up here that they're housing by the thousands because they've got war and famine. Most of what's going on is they're having a huge famine in South America. They elevated in temperature, and all of their major crops that they have down there were so temperature sensitive that they're having coffee issues now. The coffee plants are in trouble with a mold. There's all kinds of fruit issues. There's banana issues. We're seeing birds and stuff show up here that are completely tropical. They had a parrot, just a completely South American parrot arrive in New York, remember, a few months ago when the spring came in. We've got animals that are showing up completely out of place. We've got thousands of animals dying in the oceans. A couple of thousand dolphins died off South America the other day.
Yeah.
And it's radiation in the water.
Another thing I wanted to mention too, Samuel, is those foam pool noodles that they sell, those foam pool noodles? I want to caution people not to leave them outside. They're finding that the snakes are getting inside of them and sleeping, and then the kids go out and pick it up to go swimming, and out comes the rattlesnake, Well,
we can't do that hardly out here either. We leave our pools out, and we have bears in them, and mountain lions and wolves, we have to be careful with leaving our lawn furniture out, period. So, yeah.
Right.
And that's what we've
So I just want to caution you about those pool noodles, everybody.
And start paying attention to bugs and mold. We're going to see mold and bugs move north that we've never seen before. We've already got killer bees in the United States. There's going to be molds and things that are going to move up from the South Americas that we've never dealt with, and diseases. Look at the fact that measles are on the up. That might have to do with climate change.
And the animals are acting differently too, aren't they? Because even my dog, he'll be sleeping and we'll go to wake him up to go outside, and he's like, ah.
Yeah, well, they're
we got to be real cautious with them.
My cat is not 3 feet away from me even as we speak. He is right there on the floor next to me and will not leave me alone. He goes everywhere I go, and that's been for a few months now since Ashley has been close to planet. They feel the vibration. My house is popping. Montana has had a series of earthquakes, and we know that the Rockies are moving up. And that's also met with some of my dreams and some of my other information that we know this is all happening. And it's right now happening right before our very eyes in a slow train wreck. and it's real. And people, all you have to do is go look for it, because the information is not being handed to you on TV. It's not in the newspapers, and it's not coming online unless you type it in. And this is
okay, Samuel, we're up to our 12 o'clock. We're a little bit over. Again, I want to thank you so much. And you guys, I apologize for not being out here, just not up to par. If I'm feeling up to it, the end of next month, we'll see if we can get Samuel to come back out here. So take a look and see if I'm out here.
I will do that. I mean, I'm going to, do some more shows, and I expect that we're going to be through some changes, and then not everything's going to go the way we've done it in the past, because we've got a whole bunch of new changes, and I expect that hopefully this information will get out farther, and we won't spend as much time explaining the basics, and everybody will have a better time at seeing the real cool show. It's just unbelievable. I mean, this is an unbelievable show. When those asteroids come in and you start seeing the rainbow hueing, and you watch these objects flying, and you're sitting out in the yard and you're going, oh my God, this is real. And I do it a couple of times a week, and I just sit there and wonder how no one else is seeing this. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I can't.
No one wants to know why I'm not doing bumper music anymore. The reason I'm not doing bumper music on my show anymore is because if I put these up on YouTube, then they have a right
to remove them because of licensing.
Right.
Media
so
licensing.
I can't play music if I'm going to put these up on YouTube. So it's easier for me not to have to edit it and all that. So
we can get a mouth harp and a harmonica and some drums and trumpet. I'll get out my banjo and mandolin. Here we go. 1, 2. Remember Cheech and Chong and Blind Melon Shetland?
Yeah. Going downtown, gonna see my gal.
Yeah, there you go.
All right,
and
you
there's
guys.
There's a cultural icon for those younger folks to look up: Cheech and Chong and Blind Melon Shetland. Yeah, wake up class. I keep using that all the time. It was when Sister Mary Elephant screams to the class, "Wake up!" I use that all the time. It's seriously, I mean, these things, we've been watching these asteroids come in for 5 years, and they're huge now. And they see this tiny little thing. And it is wormwood. It's Medusa. It's Apophis. It's the dragon. It's the object cluster group. It's electrical. It's nasty, and it's at a theater near you.
Yeah, another good one to refer to would be like you're trying to wake people up, and you knock on the door, and they go, "Dave's not here, man."
Yeah, Dave's not here.
We're not here, man. We don't know what's going on.
Go back to sleep. This asteroid is so big you can't see it anyway.
All righty, you guys. Thank you so much, Samuel. I hope everybody enjoyed the show.
Everybody take care out there, and we'll talk to you as soon as possible.
Thanks.
Good night.
Good night. And you all have a safe week and a blessed month. I love you all. I'm going to be back as soon as I can. Just keep me in your prayers and hope that I start feeling better. And on that note,
feel better.
Yeah, thanks, Sam.
I will if you will, okay?
I'll try my best.
Yeah, because I'm getting there. Remember, I just went through thyroid surgery where they took out half of my damn thyroid thanks to the radiation in Fukushima. Anyway,
yeah.
You take care.
Okay, thanks, Sam.
Bye-bye.
On that note, I'm going to close this window out, and I want you all to remember that Bad Baby loves you.